Thank you, Mr. Murugapan, for that great speech. Up next is Mr. Prashanth Ramakrishnan. Mr. Ramakrishnan is the CTO and co-founder of Gold Coast.
Mr. Ramakrishnan is dual qualified as a lawyer and a consultant, as well as a volunteer at the Jivodaya Public Charitable Trust Hospice for cancer patients. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Prashanth Ramakrishnan and his speech, Rethinking Technology and Businesses.
Basically, thanks for inviting me to FeTNA. This is my first time here. I wanted to talk about IoT in healthcare and wellness, right? So I'm a first-time entrepreneur. I grew up from humble beginnings, and I came to the land of opportunities, just like everyone else here, right? So when I was initially consulting in a lot of fintech and healthcare firms, we found a gap in the technology that's being implemented, and there was a big need for the interoperability space. Interoperability is basically systems talking to each other, and because of how inorganically systems evolve, there are a lot of gaps that are left out between systems where discrete systems cannot talk to each other in a standardized format. So along with a partner, I started out Gold Coast IT back in 2006, where we basically cater for a lot of healthcare IT firms in the interoperability space. We do mostly product engineering, enterprise mobility, and test automation, and we operate out of 3 different time zones. We have a development center in India, we have a development center in the Dominican Republic, and we have a development center here in the US as well. Basically providing offshore, nearshore, and onshore needs. So health IT is basically what we focus on. It's rapidly changing today, especially because of the digital, the digital advancements of IoTs, of artificial intelligence, out of the standardization needs, the growth in cloud. So all this has basically changed health IT into a big, an opportunity for digital and technology to make a key difference. Our solutions in the health IT space range from the EHR and the EMR markets, where electronic health records and electronic medical records are being maintained. Standards and interoperability, HL7, FHIR, these are some of the standards that you will encounter in the healthcare space, and care coordination and population health. IoT has pretty much, opened up the whole world to analyze, disease manifestation, wellness. So you can apply IoT in a lot of spaces inside the healthcare space. What we've come up with, apart from the solutions, is that this is going to be our first product out in the B2C space, which is the business to customer space. We've already implemented the phase 1 of this product. It's called the Med Perfect. What we've come out with is a complete wellness and an emergency management platform, phase 1 of which is called the Med Band. Med Band is basically a band or a pendant that a user can actually have on his body, which will basically trigger SOS alerts in case of an emergency occurring. What we do is we do a continuous tracking of the GPS of the user, and we are able to sense issues and emergencies happening ahead of time, and also a user-triggered emergency that may happen in case of a fall or in case of a pain or something like that. And what we have is we have a network of more than 800 plus ambulances and EMT stations, and these are basically, I'm talking all India market, right? So here, our EMTs, we also have EMTs that are on two-wheelers, because navigating the space in India in crowd space is a very difficult proposition. So we have our two-wheeler EMTs as well as our network of ambulances operating, which try to get to the the patient or the user pretty quickly, stabilize the patient, and then take them over to an emergency center. And meanwhile, what happens is a digital transfer of all their medical files and records are also sent to the emergency center where the patient is going to be cared for, thereby making the process seamless and much more faster. Some of the benefits that we have achieved is 10,000 plus users on the platform since 3 months of launch, and we are averaging about 17 calls per week with successful ambulance pickups. We are averaging about 13 health record lookups every day for doctor visits and admissions, mainly operating in the senior living communities as well as communities where emergency help is obviously needed. We also do a secure health record maintenance, and we are able to access those medical records to the consented personnel. What phase 2 and phase 3 are going to entail are IoT-based health monitoring systems, basically blood pressure, blood glucose, pulse oximeters. They're all going to be deployed as a home health device system, and as a result, what Mr. CTL talked about, where before the emergency occurs, we are able to sense the emergency and we are able to act on it pretty quickly. And the second phase also includes the telemedicine and the teleconsulting platforms. So today, ICUs are heavily staffed with medical personnel. And if you actually look at them, most of the personnel working there, 90% of them are just resident nurses who are actually just monitoring the information. And if this monitoring can be digitized, and then we can have a centralized location where ICU personnel can sit and monitor multiple beds at the same time and are able to get the appropriate information that they want, intervention becomes much faster. So that's the goal of the second phase. The third phase is integrating the existing hospital equipment that's already available, the PACS, the laboratory information, the pharmacy information, and thereby providing a remote operation of a doctor more efficient than having the need to be there on the spot to actually caring for the patient. The last thing that we are hoping is with a little bit of government help in India, we can achieve standards and interoperability, because we don't have much of health standards like how we have in developed nations in India. So electronic health records and medical records are not integrated, they're not interoperable. You cannot just visit one doctor and then next day go to another doctor and have those records transferred seamlessly. So we're hoping to achieve that in phase 3. Okay, so enough about very core businesses, right? I wanted to generally talk about entrepreneurship, and I like to call what are entrepreneurs, right? So I know that every person in this world after the age of 18 is an entrepreneur, right? Everybody wants to become an entrepreneur, right? So what takes you from being an entrepreneur to an entrepreneur is not some of the things that we fear. Those are not things like money. Those are not things like the fear of failure. Simply because what we do with MedBand, operating out of a single server room, is that we literally digest 3 million data points per second, and we are able to process that very efficiently. And I can tell you that I didn't invest millions of dollars or rupees into it to build a data center to do that, right? So today, because of the expansion of cloud, because of the expansion of the cheap hardware, because of the expansion of knowledge in general, you are able to achieve a lot of things with minimal capital, right? So money should not be a blocker for becoming an entrepreneur. What you can do for 1 million people, you can do that today for 100 people. And then you scale out later on. You don't have to start getting overwhelmed by the largeness of a problem for you to stay or for you to not act on it, right? So the 3 S's of business that I like to define are skill, scale, and sales, right? Skill, everyone's talked about it, you gotta have a core passion. If you don't have a core passion, then if you're just a generalist, then you will remain a generalist, right? Scale, Scale is where I like to talk about the MVP. MVP stands for the most valuable player, I know, in the sports arena, but MVP also stands for the minimum viable product, right? What is the most minimum product that you can put out there that's going to be useful or that's going to be solving a critical problem? So think MVP. You don't have to think the largeness of a problem in order for you to succeed. Think MVP, roll out an MVP, and then keep rolling out changes in the same MVP fashion. You don't have to open up the entire world, and you don't have to carry the weight of your world and think that how am I going to solve this problem. The second aspect is do more than you think, right? Don't just keep lining up your ducks in the way that, hey, I'm going to fail because of this, I'm going to fail because of this. No, you will not. You will fail by not doing. You will only learn by doing and failing, right? So, and at the same time, don't overcome it. Don't carry the weight of the world on your shoulders and think that I can solve every problem in this world. A small delivered value is always greater than a big unfulfilled promise, right? So when you also scale, it's very important to take in a group of individuals along with you in the journey who are gonna share that idea, share that passion in you, and I would like to quote a small Tirukural for this, right? Inmayul inmai virundoral, vanmayul vanmai madavar porai, right? Meaning, the worst kind of poverty is when you cannot entertain your guests. The worst kind of punishment is when you have to lead a group of incompetent people, right? Vanmayul vanmai madavar porai. So choose the people you want to share in the journey very, very carefully, right? That is the make or break of any idea, any journey, any business. Last is sales, right? You will never become an entrepreneur until you sell, right? You can be a top executive, you can be a top doctor, you can be a top lawyer, everything. But the day you make a sale is when you're really an entrepreneur. Or else you are just building someone else's dream, right? A high schooler who can sell a lemonade out of a lemonade stand is already an entrepreneur. A top executive in a Fortune 500 is still working for someone else's dream, right? So sales is where the real disruption is. Sales is what makes you an entrepreneur. If you cannot sell, you're not an entrepreneur already, right? You're only helping someone else sell. Lastly, I know I ran out of time, but I just wanted to give you a small example of an anecdote that happened with me personally, right? When I first started out way back in 2006, the sales aspect of it was what was bogging me down. I just couldn't figure out a way to meet good people, decision makers, influencers, mavens, very personally. Because I'm a small guy, I'm cold calling people, I'm getting rejected left and right, not even getting an appointment, right? So this is what I did. I leased a top-end Audi A8 out of my credit card debt, right? And then I attached it to what is known as the Uber Black. It used to be Uber Black, now I think it's Uber X. So you automatically know that the people who prefer Uber X or Uber Black are one of the top guys, influencers, and because I am close to a metro airport, I knew that I could get rides from all these influencers, right? So I started driving Uber, ferrying them from the airport into Washington, D.C. But look what I got. I got 30 minutes of FaceTime personally, the guy in the car with me, right? And I have a personal time off with him for 30 minutes, which I could have never got no matter how much money I spent, no matter how much calls I made. So always think disruptively in terms of sales, right? There is no such thing as, not achievable. It's just that how you want to penetrate, you just think different, you're going to get there. So that pretty much concludes what I wanted to talk to you about. Thank you, FeTNA, again for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much.